Hey guys, my name is Sky. This is Tony. We are raw vegans. Raw food saved our life, changed our life, and we have a retreat coming up in Phuket. I'm so excited. Hey Tony.
Hello. Yeah, today feels really good. I've had a few crazy sounds, but I've been regulating my nervous system, and I feel when I'm speaking to Sky and my good friends online, I always feel that sense of love, community. It's a good feeling. I feel very, very honoured, and I love being part of this community. So thank you.
Oh, I love you being part of it. It feels so natural now. Like it feels so normal, right? Doing all of this, being on all these
Yeah,
lives and
you're
connecting
doing
and
a lot. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
it feels
love
good. It helps us. I think this in this time now, I think that's why we're doing the retreat, because online community
yeah,
is incredible. That quick access, and the fact that you're
yes.
doing lots of lives and creating that beautiful connection, and I've got the raw living group. I feel it's necessary, but the in person is even really, really special. So it's something that I hope for many people, you really can get to this one, if not the ones in the future, or at least get around like-minded souls. Because when we share these conversations, if there's something in you that resonates, they're your people. Because the amount of conversations I have elsewhere, and it's not like, it's just this. I'm struggling. I'm kind of like, they just don't get you. Hi Don.
Yeah.
Hi Tony.
And I feel like like the lives could just be the start of it, right? So we're all doing our healing and we're doing it in a way where you're right, is many people around us are just, it's not the same frequency, it's not the same. And I feel like the more we've got online, it's not just us being on video, but there's so many people in the chat that we're connecting with, and it's feeling like this new network. But you're right, like I feel like I'm doing this so that, and the raw food meetup is this weekend. The
Oh
world
yeah.
the raw food worldwide meetup is this weekend, and I've got one in Sydney. If you want to host it, let me know. Reach out to Jamie Love. But this is what it's all about, because when I am around people, not just when I do the meetups and this is it's what it's about, and this is why we're doing the retreat. And we've got like all the aspects of what Tony and I do daily, but on a different level, like on a higher frequency with more abundance of it, right? So we've got like the gourmet raw foods, we've got the tropical foods, we'll be doing talks, you've got yoga, you've got sound baths, we're going to do like jungle walks, you've got the dogs, and all of these things is what we're going to lead into, because essentially the raw food helps me regulate my nervous system, but all these other things I'm talking about, like yoga and sound baths and breath work, and people use different way, music, these are what regulates the nervous system.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is not just about food, but it has, for me, really helped me. But I also want to add in a caveat here. If you are doing things that are way out of your comfort zone, I always say discipline regulates, extremes dysregulate. So be conscious through this journey, because we can tap into this beautiful experience of regulation with food, with tools that we're going to be sharing. But when we do things too crazily, like fasting, when it feels forced, when we are, just creating a lot of extra and unnecessary anxiety, then it can actually get us out of that alignment. So we want to take things, like we said, it's not straightforward, linear. It does take some processing, and that's why it did take me a long time to get to be fully raw. I think I had to shift some beliefs, some constructs, but I knew in time this is my direction, because it, for me, my number one is healing my binge eating, my comfort eating, my emotional eating. I don't use that now. So I'm faced with all of this stuff. And now what's coming up is this stuff is now being heard. It's being processed in a healthy way, rather than it does that, like we shared last week's call about there's a place for eating heavy, dense, foods that aren't really healthy for us in some way. And only don't cherry pick this, because I feel that it has a place when things are just not regulated, when things are getting too much. And at that time, it served me over the years. I did, what's this say?
Oh, I tried, I deleted it, but like, yeah, I don't know. Someone's stealing things from Walmart. That sounds very dysregulated. You're probably on the right live. You need to.
But one thing I'm learning is when there's a like I said, there's a process, and we can really help ourselves by eating consciously and intuitively and gently. And fruit is definitely one of the best ones. It's easy on the digestion. You've got hydration, which really helps us. We've got greens that really nourish us. So and also grounds us as well. So when we're bringing all of these into place, it will help us, and it will be a lot more supportive. So, yeah, one thing I got away from was perfectionism, because that was creating a lot of stress in my body. And that's why I allowed whatever needed to come up. And I use other tools, not just nourishing foods, but like we talked about, the grounding. And we'll delve deeper into these tools that will really help us on this journey, like community, being around like-minded souls, co-regulates. Simplicity for me. If I have too many things on a plate, it's too stimulating. My body feels it. I'm sensitive, and I've shared recently, I'm super sensitive, but not in a negative way. I don't see sensitivity as a weakness. Sensitivity is showing me signals within my body. So it's like I've been bloated quite a lot recently, and it's nothing to do with necessarily the food. And before I used to relate it to food, and it can be obviously related when you're having too many mixtures or heavy foods, and if you're eating junk food. And I was always severely bloated. I had IBS. I forgot about that journey as well. Just that all that stuff when I was, because I've been vegan 15 years, but even prior to veganism, I was always struggled with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and then I had it in and out, infrequent throughout my vegan journey. But since going raw, don't have it. But when I'm stressed, this is telling me something's off with my nervous system. And like I shared, I got a fly there.
I don't know what I got.
Hello. It's like hello. Yeah, so I'm really tapping into different tools. So I don't think there's right or wrong ways of doing healthy ways to help the nervous system, to support the nervous system. You've got to, I like to have a little toolbox. I don't know about you, Sky. I have a toolbox, and I play around with, like, it's all about experimentation. If it's in a healthy way, then this is going to serve us. It's when we're using in other ways that's actually going to amplify the stress, and then you will get that dysregulation. But yeah, let's tap into some of the tools that's helped us, Sky, especially for yourself in your journey.
Okay, I saw somebody on a reel or post, or I don't know what it was the other day, say, if you do something enough, like you discipline yourself something enough, it ends up being harder not to do it. So I'll give you good examples of that. And they were talking about the gym, is when you get really good at becoming like gym 3 times a week, when your body needs like this time for a break, the hardest thing to do is not go to the gym 3 times a week. And I'm sure you do, but I'm coming off the back of having a bit of like an unwell or a bit of a flu or cold or whatever it was over the past week. Is one of the hardest things for me to do is I feel like I'm not completely myself until today. Especially, it doesn't even have to be a long run. I will jog a kilometer, walk a bit, jog a bit more. I need to get my heart rate up outdoors. It's not the same indoors for me. That is one thing I have to do with the food, right? So I'm already doing the food, but I hadn't been outdoors. It's like I put the raw food in and I need to plug in. I need to plug in, interface with nature, and I hadn't done that. And when I get back to it, I really feel really good. So I will have to do like my walk, run, whatever, however that looks. It's always changing, but that is a must. Then I need to get in the water. If I'm coming straight back to working, I will have to take my shoes off after exercise. I have to discharge into the earth. Otherwise, I come inside and I feel like I've created a circuit in my body, which is amping itself. Like I feel like it's this, when I exercise with like a rubber shoe or indoors, is I'm getting heated up and I'm not discharging. And I feel like I get caught in a loop.
That's
So it's very,
scientifically proven as well by
yes,
you. Yeah, you want to connect to the ground. Your feet
you
need.
do. And another level is, and then if I can get in the water, even in my gym clothes, just quickly, that is like the ultimate start to the day. Like that sets me up. If I can wake up, go for my walk, run, jump in the ocean, doesn't have to be long, come up, and by the time I come up, and I usually have a juice, so then I'm really hydrated and amped, I will be like, this is feeling like absolutely the best thing in the world. This is like, I get on and do a post, especially if I have stopped that, like I had while I was doing some healing last week. So I really feel the difference. When you do it every day, it becomes you, right?
Yeah.
But that is, for me, is foundational. And then throughout the day, I really need to be outdoors whenever I can. And shoes. It doesn't have to be long, but little breaks outdoors. And I also find a regulation in, I guess most people's brains can wander. And I find mine now, when it wanders, it starts creating what my body needs into a recipe. So I'll be like, for example, today I'm like, I've been craving like more amino acids, more protein dense food. I was doing a higher fat for a while and I was craving a lot of proteins. And all of a sudden I'm like, there's peanut protein and lentils and mushrooms, and I need some nutritional yeast. And like, I find my creativity now masters itself, but I find I really enjoy that process. Like I thoroughly enjoy the creating and the eating, and quite often sharing and making a video and connecting even more off that. I do love doing Pilates as well, but they're music. Sometimes I will be at home and I will just need to get sky zoomies where I need to like let out energy indoors, and I'll just
dance, move, yeah.
Like, and a song will start playing in my head and I'll be like, okay, I need to tap into that song. And usually if it's a love song or something, I sing it to myself and I realize there's a message in that. That's actually my language, my like higher self language.
Yeah.
So that's there. And you know what, there's other things, of course, I can do. Like I've done breath work before, I've done yoga, I love my Pilates, but in truth, what my, let's call oxygen is, like what I call like that regulation I need daily, my basic level is, I want to have had a good sleep, but I want to run or walk and then jump in the water, have some juice, do my day, and have this little ritual around my food.
Yeah, I think creating these beautiful anchors every day makes life, even sometimes when life feels so heavy, having these little rituals for me really helps start the day. I always refer them to like the bookends of the day. I master my bookends of the day pretty much. I think I'm always like doing them because I know how much when I don't do them, how much I feel off. So I'm always at the beach every morning. I have to get out the door. I used to do like a full hour before I leave the house. Now I'm pretty much up and out, not too like fast, but I do a little bit of like a meditation, check in with my body, thankful for the good night's sleep I had. And then I'm out the door with the dogs and I'm in nature. I'm on the beach, I'm grounding, and I put my feet in the water as well. And that for me is just, I just take a moment to be like, yeah, I can, it's like I can breathe. So I'm always checking in with my breathing now. So the checking in process is also a ritual. And I regularly do that throughout my day because we don't realize how heavy, deep breathers we are, like, shallow breathers, I should say. It's like, we have to slow the breathing down because I used to be a fast pace, and I can be a fast paced person. I want to do lots of things, but these are times where I'm like, nothing I don't even look at my phone. I'm literally out in nature. And then I have got a great routine right now, Sky. I'm doing yoga, primal yoga with a bit of calisthenics and like handstands and things pretty much Monday to Friday for an hour. It's been a game changer for me. Do you know what? I've been even crying sometimes. It's releasing a lot for me. Yeah, and afterwards, when I'm sat in my car, I'm just like, oh. And I've been doing some of the breath work alongside it. Man, that can be. I used to never cry, and now, over the last few years, I can just. It's like the floodgates have opened. People are so scared when that happens, but I do embrace it. I think it was Carl Cease that he shares, he cries anywhere, wherever it is, he doesn't care, he just cries. And I've been doing the same. I'm so like sensitive. Like when I'm talking to someone and I can feel their pain, I'm crying even with my clients. Like yesterday I had a call. I was just crying. She wasn't even crying. I was crying. I was like, I says, but this is just a release. I'm not shying away and blocking it. So for me, that actually does regulate and I believe everyone should aim to cry, because it's a release. It's the body's way of opening up the channels and releasing. And you can find different ways to do that. So I'm really embracing it. I don't ever feel like embarrassed by literally opening up. Wherever I am, I'll cry. And sometimes it might be a crying mess when I'm at home. Because I did an intense breath work session. I had to cut it actually because I was crying uncontrollably. I was like, where's all this coming from? I was like, oh my God. It was like, I had to even regulate the breathing when I was releasing, because I was just like, I think my body my old self just wanted to hold it. So yeah, tears regulates. I really believe that. And I'm doing many things that feels called to just, keep myself here and not, because we talked about this earlier, like the worrying mind. I'm finding a lot of us are really living in this future. We're always, at the moment, more intense than normal. I'm like, I want to be in the future right now. I want to be here. So I'm reminding myself regularly to just come back now. It means I look at what, my dogs help me regulate. So if you've got animals, they're great regulators of the nervous system. And I love spending time with my animals. That's why I do the rescue work and why I do what I do. It comes with a lot of pain as well, but I do channel it and help. That's why I really work on my health, because I want to be strong and not just strong. I cry. I'm vulnerable, because we're always seeing crying or emotional as being weak. But if it's transmuted and channeled in a really safe way, I feel it's necessary. I feel like now I'm open. Like I'll sit there crying with my dogs, and I allow that. And I sometimes I just look up and I'm just like, I just love you so much. Like I have rescue dogs coming in.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry.
I just really, I'm really connected. Like when you go outside, and sometimes when things are too much, the world is heavy and your mind's just over, it's just too intense. I just remind myself of what tools I can go to, what feels expansive at that time. And these are the things that I do. And the dogs are really a big part of that. And I'm so blessed. That people think I'm saving them, but I do feel they're saving me, and when I get them new homes, I'm like, it's a bittersweet, because it's like, oh my God, that's like my attachment. I realize how much attachment, like when your heart opens, I get super attached. But because now I'm really allowing it, I don't seem to see it as a bad thing. It's because I love hard. When we try to resist something, or we don't want to cry, or we don't want to look stupid, or it looks weak, or you're super sensitive, when we have that added layer of the guilt and the shame, that causes a lot of resistance and turmoil within. And if you allow it, it eases that. And your nervous system becomes regulated. And then I feel, when I don't add that pressure on of, shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be feeling this way, or no, I'm allowed to feel. When we start feeling, that is where the true power comes. So yeah, well, what I'm really sharing here is allow you to feel whatever you need to feel, and express it in ways that feel safe. And animals are definitely one place, nature, and having my little rituals. On the evening, I do a meditation, and I just sit there thinking about the day that was good, what went well in the day. And that really helps me look at, instead of all the heavy stuff and the things that didn't go so well, I look at what did I actually do, even if it's tiny. Because there's some days I'm paralyzed, I can't move, I'm overwhelmed with we're human, we get scared, things get heavy. But I look at, and you forget all the little things that you did do. We're so focused on the things we didn't do. And if you look on what you did, it's incredible. We put so much pressure on ourselves. People who say they're lazy, I really don't believe they're lazy. I just think you're not listening to your heart with, and that's where co-regulation, where regulating is necessary to bring that clarity. Sorry, Sky was going to say something.
No, what I wanted to say is about people not listening to themselves. A lot of people, and I think we were both there before, is you sit in this space of not changing because you're scared, you're in fear. And then I think this lifestyle is about, once you, I find you get onto it, it's about unraveling and discovering who you were always meant to be. Whereas before we're so wrapped up, we like wind ourselves in, because even if a thread goes, we feel like the whole thing is going to unravel. And we're just living our life, just packing it in, just pack more in. But then this gives you this freedom. But I feel like there is definitely this stage where, it's not even addictions come up. Sometimes the addiction is just transferred. But is it not better to be moving closer to your goal? So you might be overeating, but overeating on apples and salad, for me, it becomes very clear. You can't not do it, because you're not even numb afterwards. You feel terrible. When you eat less, you don't, and then you start addressing it. But unraveling yourself while staying regulated, and this comes where, and I want to bring dogs into this, I struggle with vulnerability. I would have to say I don't cry a lot. Like, I'll get emotional like that and a few tears will come up, but I don't cry. But I ask myself why. And I'm very aware I had so much trauma. And what keeps coming up for me is, if I let go, how much pain will I have to dive into? And I think that speaks volumes as for why that part of me. And when I think about doing breath work, so I have done it before, I was almost having like convulsions on the floor. When I came out, the lady's like, "Where did you go?" And I was like, and that's why I don't venture in there, especially the next day. I felt it's not really drained. I guess it is drained in a way, and it's there for me. But I'm happier being like, I think it's okay to not be vulnerable, but be
Yeah,
aware that you're not. You can't become vulnerable if you're not aware. And I feel like I'm in that stage where I'm not in denial. I accept it, and if I feel that helps me get closer, that's a huge thing that I do on this journey and I do in my life. And it's why I'm able to film so many videos, is I really accept where I am. I'm like, this is me, this is where I am. And you I don't necessarily want to change it, because I mean, 5 years into raw, I've worked hard to get there. But when it comes to dogs, so I will say, I don't have any dogs, and mum's always like, a little potato, like a little, little potatoes, and then she goes, you could get one and adopt one. And I'm like, Mum, it's not fair, this place is really small, and then I'll feel guilty and bad, and the dog will know, they pick up on that energy. But when I wake up in the mornings, one of my favorite things to do, and I love that the algorithm sends me out, I'll go to TikTok, and TikTok will send me like 5 videos of dogs, different situations of dogs, and it makes me feel so, so good. But the one thing about dogs, and why I think you must be unraveling so much, is when some of these reels of dogs, these dogs have their skin and bones, and you probably see situations like this. They've been abused to an inch of their life. It's missing off their body and stuff, and they'll get up and their tail's wagging, and they'll still come up. They're still in love. That's making me really emotional. That
well,
something. we don't do that as humans. We will shut down or we will become psychopaths. Like we will just, but the dog, no matter how,
Hardened. I know the life hardens people sometimes, but there has been some dogs. It's taken time, but with a little bit of love and TLC. But you saw my recent story of Spirit. Only in November, I rescued a really skinny, badly abused. She was dumped in the jungle, and I found her. She was a bag of bones, like 7 kilos. She's now 14 kilograms, full of hair. Check it out. I have Tony J for the animals, and it's my work here in Phuket with the street dogs. Oh, and she's got a home in Phuket, so I get to see her still. I look after her from time to time. She's got a little fair sister named Biggie from China. She was rescued in China. And I get to see her regularly. So her story of, resilience and still trusting and trust, like, she gave people a second chance. That's Ziggy saying yes.
Hey, we're talking about you and your buddies.
He's one of my rescues that I got him adopted, but he's just with me temporarily. 4 or 5 years ago, and I get to see him still. So, it does remind me sometimes. You forget that when you get in life, and you forget all the little things that you do through the heart. That's why you remind yourself regularly of where your heart is. Everybody, when we connect to our heart, will guide us to what regulates us, what feels off. That's why we turn to the raw living foods, because it connects us. We talk about this all the time. It really, it sheds the shit, basically. You are faced with only truth, because there's no distractions. Like, you can't binge on mangoes. You can't binge on...
There's no quick hit. Like, seriously, you eat a mango, and if you're really hungry, it tastes amazing. But if you keep eating it, you'll get the normal sickly feeling when your body is like, I've had enough. And even then, you haven't overeaten, right? It's a lot of water. And so
it doesn't hide, it doesn't numb you. Like, I can't, even if I've overeaten on the same mangoes, I'm like, my feelings are there, and now it's intensified. I'm like, okay, so what are you trying to tell me? So everything's giving us signals. If you're overeating, if you're anxious, if you're feeling off, our body, if you tune in with the body, it will give you the signals. What was that? I have a rescued Dalmatian pit cross. I love Dalmatians. Dalmatians as a breed have abandonment issues. Really, I find they've got. I've always wanted a Dalmatian, but a Dalmatian pit bull cross. Wow, I'd love to see a picture of a Dalmatian pit bull. Gorgeous. I love the mixes. The mixed breeds for me, I'm like, I love when they've been meshed. Like the Thai street dogs here, there's just some freaky looking ones, but they're just so adorable. I'm like, what are you? I'm like, you're a mix. I'm getting good at like seeing what sort of like mix they are. They're so fascinating. It really.
Do you know what? Before we got on this live, I was talking about how, because I came into this where I'd had psychiatric, basically been very dissociated, I'd basically completely relied on nature, as in, like, I didn't want to be around people. It's taken me a while to get back into that, but I relate to nature. It's like my safe space. I feel like it sounds like dogs are like that for you. It's like that one trusting, like, and you just, I feel like we all, and it is nature, right? It's just how nature's presenting itself to you. And I definitely, like, I am a sun, moon, tree, plant, and I feel very safe with that, because even in psych units, you can look out the window. Even when you're locked up inside, you can look out the window. And then even in the backyard, there's like little plants coming out. And I feel like maybe in our most vulnerable time, it's how did nature present itself? You know,
especially when the rescues, it gives you that sense of, you know, when you're in your own stuff. Even though my stuff's important, it also puts me into the present moment. So if I'm going away, I think I feel it. I don't ever disassociate. I don't want to escape it, but I feel it. But what dogs remind me because they're there, and then I feel their pain, but then I'm like, but right now you're safe, you're good. And it reminds me that I'm safe, I'm good. He's 80 pounds.
Yeah.
Wow, a lap dog. It's always the big dogs that want to be on your lap.
Oh, I wanted to talk about this because this is why I do these videos, because once I put raw foods in my body, a lot of the reality that I thought was reality changes. And a huge part of my reality, I don't know whether it was like this for everybody else, was my whole structure was basically guarding myself as what I was thinking others were thinking. And that doesn't happen for me on raw foods. I am more grounded the more outside, and the more I've been outside, that helps a lot for me. But as for the judging, is that really stopped for me. What other people say, I usually don't take at the moment. So like I can like resonate with it, but a lot of the time, sorry, people, hang on, if somebody gives me some judgy comment, I know I need to take it in. But what I tend to, what most people in the world do is we guard, we come up and get upset about it. I tend to be like, oh, that's your opinion. And inside I might be like, well, I don't agree with that. But I know that the universe has sent this information to me for a reason. But as for feeling like sitting in that space, I shouldn't have done it, they don't like it, it's making me feel bad, they were uncomfortable, that is non-existent. And that's why I did a video earlier with JJ about mental health this morning. And that is why my mental health healed so quickly, because so much of what I thought was reality was just me feeling what I thought others were feeling, and that all changed. And look, I just, so much changes for me with raw foods in my body. Before, each thing I do after raw foods just is like better and better and better. But in truth, a lot of, you can't change, everyone's got their own opinion. But
we've all got, I call it, we've all got bum holes. We've all got opinions. I was like, someone said like, oh, let me put that into context because that sounds weird. They said, everybody's got
right now.
Everyone's got it's like everyone's got a bum hole. What did they say? Oh, he said it was so funny. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna use that.
Oh, so funny. I love that. That's some of the things you say just crack me up because I wasn't expecting, I actually was not expecting that.
One thing I just want to give you a little story on about judging and people judging. So I used to be a people pleaser. And I love making people happy. I love being kind. I love giving, but it did come at a cost sometimes to my health. And one thing I learned really deeply, that when I used to volunteer at the government dog pound here in Phuket, Thailand, for many years, and I've done loads of voluntary work over the world for many. Every time I go traveling, I always volunteer for like months, and I did a lot of like long-term volunteering, giving most of my days, and doing lots of things for free, and keeping out of drama, keeping myself to myself, just being kind and just supportive, because I didn't want to attract. I was very protective of my energy. Opinions are like, yeah, we all got bum holes. That's it. Thank you. Thanks, Dawn. And then
oh, it makes sense because I didn't know what you were talking about.
I was thinking that, you know what? I often have this thing in my brain, and it processes. It could be ADHD or something, but it like comes out different. I'm like, I've said it right, but it hasn't.
Oh, verbal diarrhea. Bum holes we go on. Like you have a thought and you say it and you're like, where's the rest of that? But no, that makes sense. But I love that. I think you should just say we all got bum hole. Can we say this? I'm probably going to get demonetized. It doesn't matter.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. So what happened was I had some individuals that were just slandering me and negative towards me. I think there was a bit of jealousy, and I was like, hang on, what have I done here? And I got so emotional like about it all, because I was like, I'm giving a lot of my time and money, and I'm getting like so much crap for it. And I thought, okay, that's when I really connected to, like, you could be the nicest, sweetest orange, let's say, but there's always someone who isn't gonna like an orange. So then I realized, okay, so if I try to like or try and be what everyone else wants me to be, you're gonna go insane, super insane. So I learned quickly. It's about judgment. Sorry, what are we talking about? We're talking about judgment and people judging. We all judge, right, to a level of that, sometimes depending on where we're at in our lives, depending on what's going on emotionally. We might get triggered and say something we don't mean. So now I've realized people change moment to moment, and you'll go insane by worrying about what other people think. So I've learned to discern and just be me. And if people aren't going to like me, yeah, I want people to like me. Of course, we're humans. We want to be part of society. We want to be part of our groups, but there are just going to be people that just don't resonate, don't connect, just like we do. We don't connect with everybody, and we go through phases in our life. But it's never coming from an aggressive or angry. It's just more, I'm not resonating, that's it. Or if that person isn't resonating with me, that's good. I'm good either way.
Okay, so there's something called rejection sensitivity or rejection sensitivity dysphoria, which is very much more common with spicy brains, like someone who has ADHD. But I think everybody has this. And this is where I think a lot of the reality I used to have comes from, is that when other people have something negative to say, or they don't agree with me, or they're judging me, is the pain I would feel in my body is so loud. I would do anything to avoid it, because the brain's job is to avoid pain, because pain equals death, right? And it can't distinguish. If you feel pain, it's pain. And before I got on the raw foods, a lot of the time you could call it sensitivity, but the name is rejection sensitivity dysphoria, or RSD, where you actually feel it in your body, as in like you feel really unwell. And I feel like that's what consumes us. And that's why we do these talks and we share all this, because you can lower it a lot by finding a diet which makes you feel good. And then once you feel good, you make other choices which make you feel good, which is essentially where our regulating our nervous system, call them protocols, or what each of us do, comes from, because it's just more of regulating and making ourselves feel good. And the more you make you feel good, the more what anybody else says, I don't really care, to be honest, what other people say who aren't looking after themselves. In fact, it almost becomes noise. So if you've got somebody who is in a really bad space, they're really struggling, they're not treating themselves nicely, what they have to say has a very low score. But it's because they don't have enough respect for themselves. So I think at some level, I don't have a high value on what they say. When people are looking after themselves, like in truth, if I start watching videos and I see someone really thriving, I am very interested in what they have to say or do. And that's my perception. Once again, I'm judging the person. They look like they've got their life together. And I may not resonate with all. I do a bit and take away. But what happens when you start upgrading yourself is the filter, you become very selective as to what people's opinions are, because you know how hard you've worked. So I think what I'm saying is, even that I found the right diet for me and all these ways to regulate my nervous system, is you work hard to do something different than the norm. And when you've done that work, it's you basically filtering out the world. So I hope that's
when you're at peace with yourself, this is why it's an internal job. When you are triggered, it's nothing to do with the other person. It's like when someone says to somebody, oh, you're ugly. If you believe that, that's going to hurt you. But if you're like, what's ugly? It's so subjective. What's ugly to one person is ugly to what is ugly. It's so object. It's just not.
That's very true.
It's like, or if they say to you, I think there was a book, I can't remember the book that I read, it said, like, if someone just said to you, oh, you're a big fat purple monster, you're like, what? Are you on something? Like, what is that? But if it's something they say it triggered you, like they said, oh, you have a big nose and you're already insecure about it, then it's your processing projection. So it's very dependent on how you're feeling within. So like you said, you've got a filter system. If someone says, like a certain person you don't really value, or this, like people who you look up to, they say something that's constructive, you'll take that as feedback, not necessarily truth, but feedback. But others that are coming from a triggered, traumatized place, you're not going to accept that truth to come in. So it's really about discerning and not letting it, like, internalize it. Like you said, you take it in and you process it. Is that a healthy feedback for me? Who's it coming from? Because some people in their lives, they're just in a bad space. There's jealousy. They're very in a traumatized place. It can come out not really who they are, but it's just a quick reaction. And we've all done it. We've all thought things in our head just out of a default, or in a stress or a fearful place, when it's not really who we are. So I know that when someone isn't being so nice or being negative, it's not who they really are. It's just they've been triggered, or they're not in a good space themselves. Hurt people. I learned that quite early on. So I realized they're not hurting me, they're hurting themselves. They're hurting themselves much more.
If you've spent time like finding self-love, finding all the things you enjoy that make you feel good, and you're feeling better and better and better, that then somebody who projects at you is usually not spending their time looking after themselves. And a prime example of this is what very successful content creators always say is, you never see anybody in my comments who's doing really well come on and say you're a piece of crap or whatever. They're only people who have no channel, have no platform, have really nothing good to say. Usually it's a mark of, basically, not even when it's on social media, but you don't see people who are extremely successful in life stopping, turning around, taking the time to absolutely tear somebody else down when they're trying to build themselves up. Like, you're doing your job, you're doing your best, and someone who's been there will see that in you. And so if you've come far away from a person who's down here, more than likely they're going to spew venom at you to try and pull you back down. It's like, if you think of it all in frequency, it changes it across, right? Where instead of thinking of it like, I have to match their negativity and come down, which is what they want, or essentially they want to get themselves up. So they're pulling you down to pull themselves up, like meet me halfway type thing. But if you keep climbing, looking positive, and realize that
you've noticed some people sadly do bring themselves down in order, when someone's not in a good place, they feel they have to come down to their level. But what we want to be doing is bringing the frequency up, so they come up. Like, our frequency will help others come up, not go down to their level, that frequency. And that's the difference, because we've all done it. I've done it, because you feel like, oh, I don't want to be, I've always felt I'm shining my light too bright, I'm a bit too much for people, or who does she think she is? So you shrink yourself. And what happens then is you're actually matching. This is why we've got so many people, especially British. I love Americans because they have the best attitude, or for the most part, of like, they love building each other up, I would say, generally. When I used to go, it's all like the self-developments, and like Tony Robbins back in the past, they're all like, yeah, you can do it. A British person, I'd be like, especially my family, they would be like, oh my gosh, that's a bit too out there, too crazy. Who does she think she is? So it's the crab theory. Have you heard about that? The crab's in the bucket. What crabs naturally do is when a crab tries to get out, the other crabs will bring them down. Have you heard about the crab bucket story? And
I thought they were trying to climb up on top of each other. See, it's all perception, right? Because I thought they were trying to climb.
Yeah, no, they pull each other. Oh, that's a good one, Don. Yeah, it's the internet. You do get a lot of keyboard warriors. Absolutely. There's plenty of those.
Look, I will tell you something. And so when I was chronically ill, one thing that all the doctors said and was to me was, don't go to support groups. Okay. And I'm like, why? I'm in chronic pain. I want to go to a chronic pain support group. And they're like, because you will make friends with other people in chronic pain, and you will talk about chronic pain, and you'll talk about all your problems of chronic pain, and you will solidify that. And then whenever something goes wrong, you'll be like, hey, this is good. And it's true, right? Is when you want to change a habit or change your life, start changing what is around you. So, and it can, if it's, you want to flood a lot of light in your life, start small. And this is, you brought this up really important at the start, where you felt wherever you are at times, like different junk foods or different ways of eating can serve people at different time. And I guess vegan junk food is a good example of that. But I want to bring it back to another example where when I dissociated and was in the psych unit and they ripped the rest of my medication off me. We're talking like Valium, ADHD stimulants, what else? There was SSRIs, there was multiple like morphines and oxycontins and all of this. And they took all this away. And for a period of time, I was heavily regulating on cigarettes and coffee. Now, is that ideal for me now? No, but then it was a step away from not going back. And once I mastered that and never went back, I was like, well, hey, if I can kick that, I'll kick cigarettes. And then I was still having coffee, having more tea, but got rid of cigarettes, right? I think I went to vaping because back then that was better. And then I let go of vaping. And then but all because I first let go of what I classified and knew for my body was the worst. So wherever you are, it's not that back then, I think raw foods, I would have been like, what the frick are you talking about? Like, so they're stepping stones and they're, yeah. And so you don't, it depends where you are, but you have to make the change, right? And if I think about my healing journey, which I believe the dark night of the soul started when everything got, I was coming off this stuff for years, but I think when it was a massive amount was ripped away very quickly and I was already dissociated, I was on this continual healing journey where I'm learning to let go of things that don't serve me, but it doesn't mean you have to jump up to the brightest light. And the example I gave this morning was of this, because Maribella's like, bright light can burn. And I was like, I'll give you an example of that. I was in hospital when I had my stomach removed for like 4 months, okay? And all I had seen, I hadn't even been outside, all I'd seen was a white gown, a white bed, I think white yellow walls, and like white blue outfits on doctors. That's it. Maybe my mum's outfit coming and going was like the most exciting thing. And when I got home, mum she's like, I got a surprise for you. She'd redone my room with a fluoro pink Indian bedspread with fluoro pink pillows and curtains. And I went in and I was like beyond overwhelmed because I had not seen any colors, not even pink, in so long. And it's like, so you can, if you want to get yourself regulated and you want to stop putting people down, is don't be too hard on yourself if it doesn't happen instantly, but start making little choices. And this is what I think deters many people, is just say they're doing like things that they know aren't harming them, and they start to quit alcohol and they're like, this is so hard. How would I even get to being a vegetarian, let alone raw vegan? Is don't worry about the next step. Your whole focus is to master the first step, because the reason I talk about the levels, like the gaming levels, is the reason you can let go of the next thing. Like for me, smoking and cigarettes, and then even I think lollies were better than cigarettes. There was all, for me, I was just trying to better myself, and I was, is be kind, because only I know how hard I worked on each of those levels. Nobody else. And that's why people can judge me as much as they want. you haven't walked my shoes, you haven't walked those paths, and you guys are just in the same boat. So
yeah, very true. And it, like what Don was saying about the balance, I feel that's also very subjective, but balance can be, it depends on what you're achieving. I do feel there's times in your life where something feels just off, but it's supposed to be. It's like now I'm accepting when there's dark periods, it's supposed to be dark. Right now, it might be teaching you to just totally surrender. And if that means stripping away, and I feel like a lot of us have been doing this recently, just stripping and seeing what's really our truth, what's important. And I know we keep referring back to the food, but the food is obviously our focus, and our work is when you strip away all that crappy heavy foods, you are left with here, what's here, and you'll start to tap into that space of what is our guidance. And even when things are heavy, we trust more. We trust that this is when we can start letting go a lot more of these addictions that we thought aren't really. Because I have some clients that they don't think what they're doing is an addiction until they start removing certain aspects. Like it's just a gradual stripping away of layers. Like you said, you just step on. It was when you're going from one thing to another. Like it is a process. It shouldn't be rushed. I do feel there's times in your life where things can be what feels like extreme, but it's safe to do so. Because I did a 40-day juice cleanse, which to some that would be, oh my God, that's extreme. But I had steps. I've been attempting the juice cleanse for quite some time, but I never really conquered that. But I knew I would one day, and just that timing, divine timing, it happened. So if you're making these little tiny insignificant steps, if you're tuning in, watching our videos, you start to see the little dots that are starting to connect you. This is the path to truth, and you'll start to shed what's not necessary. So yeah, I think when we let go of all of that, we really do bring us will bring us back to our own truth, and we will become the person we know who we are. And we're sorry.
I was going to say, a lot of people, I think, put to the side for a second that I was very sick, and that brought me to raw foods. A lot of people would be like, I'm here to like party. I'm here to kind of burn out, live fast and furious. What more could you possibly want in this life than to know yourself? And I've done other lifestyle diets before, and nothing has actually, it's been to try and lower symptoms, and sometimes it does, but it has never really felt like I was getting to know me until I put raw foods, majority of raw foods, and then you can't not want to explore all the way raw. And that is like how I got to how you got to the dogs, how I got to doing like podcasts and lives, and how I got to do running, and knowing that I just love being outdoors and the ocean, is because the raw food's in my body and I'm knowing me. That's why I stay doing it, because it's in truth, there's probably to some level I could have bits of cooked food now and again, and probably, I don't know, I'm not even going there. It's making me feel a bit unwell because I used to be so sick when I ate it. But the why I stay here and don't question it is I want to know me. This is something I actually don't even know whether I knew was possible in this life.
You said it earlier about it's just the elevation that you receive from it. I think that for me is, it just feels good. Just to answer Jack, he keeps asking where's she from.
Leave them. They're guessing. I'm kidding.
I'm from Yorkshire. It's a very strong. I've been in Thailand for like 15 years, but full time 9, or nearly 10 years. But it's still strong, my accent. Yeah, from East Yorkshire.
I love it. I'm from Sydney, Australia. If anyone wants to know, I think we're guessing where it is. So, yeah, I also think when you're eating raw foods, if you become very aware that you might try to do something to regulate your nervous system, and if it's not meant for you, just like other things that aren't meant for you, it will fade
Try.
away.
That's what I said. Yeah,
That's
tools.
why people sometimes don't like the raw foods, because it'll make what is not meant for you drop off. Like it's almost like when things aren't meant for you on this lifestyle, you just are unwell. I become unwell in some way. The boat starts to rock, and you have to drop it, or you lose yourself again. And I'm not losing myself, and that turns around and is in that part of judgment as well, right? It's I am so not losing myself again that it doesn't matter what others say. And I know that for fact, beyond fact, because to me of the raw foods, I actually, Tony, am very surprised. And I know that the algorithm on YouTube doesn't favor raw vegan as much as it did, I think, 10, 15 years ago. But
Yeah.
it does surprise me, because I do know people find some level of health, what they believe they do, from different diets, right? But the one thing raw food does is that spiritual, enlightened aspect. And it just surprises me more people aren't intrigued, want to know, like, but I guess that
Yeah.
represents whether, like, I find it very surprising. I've tried many lifestyles, and yes, maybe symptoms lower a bit, but nothing, anything is
Yeah.
like this.
I'm like, this is the next level of connection, and it surprises me. But again, it's back to that divine timing. I think it will rise again when people start to strip back and get back to simplicity. It's the answer. It's the answer to all of our suffering, as they call it.
I could just hear a bird chirping out there, and it's like I could feel the chirp all through over my body. That's the connection. You literally interface so hard with nature that you can't be worried about any. I don't. If I'm out with no shoes on in nature, especially immersed in the water, the longer I'm there, I'm so present, and I've never experienced anything like that. So,
and like for me, stripping, everything's to do with, like, I've just over the years stripped away, and it was just stripping away all that, the food of, it's just so simple. It's like I said to you, don't really do recipe videos because it's like, what are you gonna do? It's so simple. But I do love, and I eat the same pretty much every single day. I always start off with a smoothie bowl, and it's chocolate. I like the sweetness. And then I have a savory, usually a salad and a nice sauce. And sometimes I play around with that. But it's very same. Fruits. I'm in the tropics, so very simple. But I never thought I'd get to this, where food doesn't become, it's like I get excited for it, but it's a different energy. It's not a crave. It's like, it's just my innate feeling. I just eat to nourish. And it's a good feeling, especially if someone who's come from binge and comfort eating severely.
I actually brought something to the surface for me just then, and that is, it's like, if I want to make something, I've done it for so long now, it's not the same as it used to. But what that freedom allows me to do, or even if I can't do that, I'm happy to throw some cucumber, avocado, some sprouts on a plate and eat it. And because I feel I'm now in this era of like manifesting my dreams, like I'm more interested in my healing of myself and basically creating my life, more so in the creativity aspect. But I will say that recipes were literally my best friend when I was first raw. And I feel like I came from a very addictive past, but they gave me so much joy. And then you'd eat them and you feel so good. You're like, usually something that brings me joy, is the way I used to be, is it has a downside. We live so long with having pizza and being like instantaneously stimulated, and then you feel like crap. Or whatever we do seem to have an up and a down. And when I do raw food, I'd eat it, and then I kept waiting. It happened for about 2 years after I do things or try new recipes. I remember having pizza out of the dehydrator, very simple pizza, for the first time. And my body keeps expecting to feel like unwell. It still kind of does it with pizza, and then you're like, I still feel good.
And you are so inspiring. It does. It's very, I admire your creativity, and it definitely does inspire me. I I take on a few. I don't overwhelm myself. I'm not every day creating, but I do explore some things, and then it becomes my new thing here and there. But for the most part, simple. But you bring in that amazing, show it, especially for those that do love all the flavors and the taste of what they have been eating. You bring in this new dimension of it can be raw and it can be delicious and tasty, and that's what the retreat, when we've got the raw vegan chef coming, it's the next level. We've got Sky, you've got your creations, and then we've got literally who does this every single, well, you do it every day, but he works in a wellness center, so he's coming to Phuket. So if you fancy a trip to Phuket, Thailand, where we're holding a retreat for 10 people, we've only got 6 spots left. That's April 18 to 24. Come on, come Don, come Jack, come and hang out. Have you been to Thailand before? They're saying about tea. I'm not really a tea person. I was never a typical British tea drinker, but I do like my herbal teas, and that only started recently. But I'm not. I don't drink coffee and I don't drink tea.
I will say, if you have addictions to wine, coffee, those for me, because it's a glass aspect of it, and you do get something from, just get a whole heap of herbal teas, rotate them, change them, have them in your hand, have 2 in your hand. I don't care. Do something. It does eventually get less and less. Tea really helps me. In fact, my go-to tea when I was healing was a bit of an art form, which things are with me, is I would get 2 bags of ginger tea. In the hot water, I'd get tons of shaved ginger, as much as I want, because then you're crunching too.
Yeah.
Lots of chunks of ginger, and then I drop bits of lemon in there. So I've got like textures, and ginger tea is stimulating. Yes, it's different, but you've got to remember is you've got to meet yourself some way, right? I highly suggest getting, and another fave for mine, once again, stimulating, peppermint tea. Is a good one, but I would have them in my hand non-stop when I quit. I quit smoking as well. But you just do something. Like, I don't care if you have 10 drinks. I always say, like, when you start going out as a raw vegan, if you're out and you've got to order a salad, I don't care. Order fresh orange juice, order the kombucha, order the tea, have multiple drinks. Just keep yourself busy. It gets better. This is your starting point.
Yeah. And hydration, the most important thing, and that's what's good about raw. It keeps you hydrated. I definitely have a lot, because I have a lot more fruits, and that hydration, deep cellular hydration, because water doesn't always quite do it. So having the water from the fruits is really beneficial for our cells.
I'm very to try Chef Garesh's food in Phuket. Like, I feel like there's a safety in your own recipes, because you go so long with nobody really being able to make raw food for you. There being no raw food restaurants, and now for like 6 days. So what is it? 7 days?
7 days. Yeah.
So send us a message or an email if you want to come. The link will be under the video. And thank you, Tony.
Thank you, and thanks everyone for coming on. Lovely to meet you all. Every Tuesday we go live for an hour, so come and join in, ask questions, and let's connect.
Yes, and we'll see you all soon, and hopefully see you guys in Phuket.
Yay!
Bye.
Bye-bye.